Well, when they use the expression "let's play two," that's basically what the Dodgers and Blue Jays did.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB. It's actually a Locked On MLB crossover. I'll explain that a little bit. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. This is the podcast where we talk about all of Major League Baseball. And also, if you're a Miami Marlin fan, you follow the Marlins. I'll explain that in a second as well. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they call it these days, and on Instagram. I am your pal Sully. I'm on Sully Baseball Podcast Instagram. The best way to get a hold of us is to use that old hashtag everyday Sully. And I'm also going to, today's podcast is sponsored by it's very late, folks. Is sponsored by our good friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Let's quickly just bring up the trivia question. Who was the first Los Angeles Dodger to throw a complete game shutout in the World Series? Stephen Schwartz said, was it Sandy Koufax who threw out the first shutout in Dodgers World Series history? No, but he was at the game and he actually was warming up the pitch. My friend Nicole Corcolis, who I mentioned before, wonderful comedian in New York, texted me and said, I think Koufax is in the bullpen. But the correct answer is, and Courtstell got it, the trivia answer is Don Drysdale in the 1963 World Series. That is the trivia question, but lots of trivia will eventually be asked and answered for this game, which I'm not convinced is over. But I said it was a Locked On MLB, Locked On Marlins crossover, and the reason I say that is because joining us right now is Jeremiah Geiger from Locked On Marlins. Good morning to you. Have you done Wordle yet?
Good morning, Sully. It's 12:01 on the West Coast,
Yes.
as you know, so we're officially into Tuesday.
Yes.
What did we just watch? Was that the best World Series game I can remember? It was incredible.
We're going to have a little bit of distance from it, I think. But there's a lot there are a lot of things that were amazing about it. And I'll tell you, there's one thing that I'm really, really happy about. And I said something similar at that amazing final game between Detroit and Seattle in the division series. That went extra innings, and it didn't end on an error. It didn't end on Orion Keckering throwing it to home plate. That game ended on a clean single. This one ended on a Freddie Freeman homer. It's amazing. Freddie Freeman hit a walk-off home run, and he's not the player of the game. It's not even close. It's not even close. But that it was well played on both sides. There was great defense on both sides. There was great pitching on both sides. It wasn't decided on an error. It wasn't decided on a blown call. It wasn't decided on a balk or something ridiculous. And here's the best part, or there's two best parts. It was not decided with a position player pitching.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, take over on that one there, Jeremiah. But for those who may not have known, explain why I just mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm losing track of the innings at this point. It was probably the 15th or 16th when Ken Rosenthal's reporting to the booth, and he says, guys, I just talked to Dave Roberts, and Dave said, if this keeps going, we're going to have to throw a position player on. And I said to myself, okay, this is the World Series. This isn't a game in August or June, against the Rockies. This is the World Series. There is no way that in God's green earth that should happen. I'm so glad it didn't. And I do think he changed his mind. Now, I'm not a mind reader, but once I saw Yamamoto in the bullpen and he was getting ramped up, I mean, he was throwing some hard warm-up pitches. I do think Roberts realized, he said, what am I doing here? If this does go to the 19th, to the 20th, we're going to have to bring in Yamamoto and just throw them all out there and let them run on fumes.
Yeah, you could. I mean, the reason why, look, I a lot of people have been saying that I am very anti-Dodger on this podcast, and some people have been listening to the same episodes and saying I've been very pro-Dodger on this podcast. So, you know, just keep in mind you're hearing what you want to hear. I do live in LA County, so it does help my life if the team is doing well here. But they're already in the World Series. People are already talking about it. Um, I want to see a good game, and boy, oh boy, did we get that. But the thing that just would have been awful is if they brought in a position player, and think about what that would have meant. The Dodgers got home field advantage now by splitting the games in Toronto. And I'll get to in the third segment, I'll get to my title of the previous episode, which I did tongue in cheek, and a lot of people were got a little piffed at me. But if they brought in a position player, that's basically waving the white flag. And if you
Right.
wave the white flag, you're giving home field advantage back. And if you wave the white flag, this and with a exhausted bullpen, you and obviously this offense, which the Dodger bullpen brilliantly shut down, but still, we know what they're capable of. Of course, Trinan was the one who let key run. Why they should just DFA him at this point. Of course, of all the relief pitchers, one let up a run. Gee, go to FanDuel and bet on which one that was going to be. It was Trinan. But if the Dodgers had given up home field advantage because they let Kiki Hernandez pitch, or who I don't know who it would have been. I think Kiki Hernandez was out of the game at that point. Whoever they were going to bring out to be I think it was going to be Rojas. I think it's I was listening at one point to the Dodgers announcers. Um, that would have just been horrible to say, yeah, now we're giving you back home field advantage. And then the Blue Jays say, okay, we'll just split the next two games and head back to Toronto with a chance to win the World Series. And they
Yeah.
didn't do that. And we didn't have to have that discussion. We didn't have to have that debate. We're just talking about a great game. And that's fabulous.
Incredible game. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
looking at the box score and I have to scroll like
Yes.
just to see all the relief pitchers. The Dodgers used every single reliever in their pen. And how about Will Klein? I mean,
Yes.
4 innings in the biggest spot, biggest game, biggest moment of his baseball career. Never threw this season at least above 30, 35 pitches, I think the broadcast was saying.
Hmm.
And he throws 70 plus. I mean, you could see it on his face. He was gassed. He had nothing left in the tank, Sully. Nothing.
Well, and think about Sheehan threw 2 2/3 innings of shutout relief.
Right.
Enriquez threw 2 innings of shutout relief. And they are not the release story right now.
Yeah.
Sasaki threw an inning and 2/3. And when we come back, I do want to talk a little bit about what we could learn from the pitching in this situation, because let's just say a scenario that I've been talking about for some time now kind of sort of came through today and almost reared its ugly head in the worst possible way in a World Series game. All right, let's talk about our friends over at Gametime. Hey, Jeremiah, I don't know if you know this, but I was at the Shohei Otani game. Not this game where he got on base, what, 9 times or something?
Yeah.
No, the other game where he pitched 6 shutout innings and hit 3 homers. Um, when they pitched to him, I kind of was saying, wouldn't it be amazing if he hit a home run here? And so he had 2 3 homer games, and somewhere someone will say, yeah, he's still overrated. That's not the point. I got my tickets, and sometimes getting tickets for a big game, it could be a hassle. You got lines, you got login screens, you got the prices, hidden fees and all that. It's frustrating. But what I used, Jeremiah? I beg you to guess what I used.
I'm going to say game time.
Game Time. It's a great guess. It's the app that gives the advantage back to fans like you and me. Game Time. It's fast. It's easy. And it's backed by the famous Game Time guarantee. You always get 100%. 100%. It's late. The game is. I became Sylvester. 100%. I'm not even going to edit that out. I can't. I have to be working a couple hours. Authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. And you know what? If you pull up Game Time, it's just a couple of taps. You see great deals. And if you want to go to like football games, if I want to go see the Rams or the Chargers nearby me, and I do, you can get your favorite NFL game tickets for as low as $100. Now, the app made it all super simple. You can even see, I saw when I got my tickets at Dodger Stadium exactly where I was sitting. Zone deals are great because there's section Dodger Stadium I really love. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's less stressful than any other way I've ever bought tickets. So let me, Jeremiah, I'm giving you this deal, but I'm also giving all my listeners this deal. So don't feel too special. What you got to do is you got to download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. By the way, I really, really hope Ken Burns was watching this game.
I had to Google him.
Oh
I think I
God, I
was
feel
so
so old.
tired.
I
I
feel
think
so
I was
old.
so tired. And then I remembered, I was like, did I see this guy's books or documentaries or something
Yes,
at my
yes,
grandparents' house one time?
yeah,
And then,
yes, you
yeah,
did.
all-time classic.
By the way, Otani got on base 9 times. That has
9.
to help. Yeah, that has to help his OPS. And let's give props to the Blue Jays. Kirk before he was pulled out, taken out because and poor Heineman, who was the Maytag repairman of the Blue Jays, he actually got into the game, but Kirk got on base 4 times, and Lauer threw 4 2/3 innings of shutout baseball where every single time the ball left his fingers, a walk-off hit could have happened. And poor Little, I mean, he led up a home run to Freddie Freeman, and Freddie Freeman is now the first person to hit more than one walk-off home run in the World Series. Here's the
Wow.
list of people who have hit multiple walk-off home runs in the World Series. Freddie Freeman,
I think that's it.
that's it. Freddie Freeman. A lot of people tied for second, but only one person in first. But both bullpens were unbelievable. And there's one other person I want to give who should get. It's strange to sort of say he might get consideration for player of the game because he went 1 for 8. But Tommy Edman made so many tremendous. He made one big error early on and made up for it with 2 breathtaking relay throws. One getting out at third, one at the plate. Of which both of those plays, I don't bemoan the Blue Jays for being aggressive there because it took a perfect play, a perfect throw. And sometimes when you get, you have to push the other team to make a great throw or a great play. And man, everything was just so fantastic in this game. Is
I
it
was
over?
gonna
Is the game over?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I'm in like this daze right now, this fever dream. I was gonna say, Sully, the defense in
Hmm.
extra innings, just
Yeah.
immaculate on both sides. And there was this one play. It was in the losing effort. It was made by Toronto. It's a
Hmm.
ground ball hit to third base,
Yep.
and Clement
Hmm.
gathers, spins, and throws a one hopper to Vladdy, who digs it out. And I was like, this is why defense matters.
Right.
If you have, I mean, we start watching baseball in February with spring training, and that's when the practices and it's warm outside and everybody's, happy that baseball's back, but the guys are getting to work because that's when it matters in October. A play like that, Dalton Varsho running down a ball in the gap, getting a good read off the bat. And the Dodgers too, like you said, Tommy Edman. There was never a time in extra innings where I felt like either the Blue Jays or the Dodgers were going to give this game away.
Right.
Somebody had to win it. And
Hmm.
ultimately it was Freddie Freeman. He's an all-time great World Series hero now in 2 straight World Series with the Dodgers. But these teams battled it out to the very end, and they played winning baseball is the best way I can describe it.
All right. Here's something I do want to bring up, though. I've been saying um, all throughout the regular season that we have to start getting our starting pitchers to get through the lineup 3 times. And I said you're going to get to when you get a parade of relievers starting in the 5th or 6th inning, it will come back to bite you. And you take a look at the fact that yes, Klein was heroic, as was Lauer, but Banda came in And do you know how many pitches Bonda threw? Three.
Let's see here. 3
Three
pitches?
pitches. He threw
Wow.
3 pitches. Now Glasnow didn't pitch badly. He did let up a bunch of base runners. Okay, he did let up 8 base runners in 4 2/3 innings. But there's some point you were going to have to get pitchers to grind it out a little bit, because you see a game like this, and I'm sure as Klein is coming, staggering back to the dugout after each inning, going, "Guys, you want to score a run for me anytime soon?" And Bonda is like, "Yeah, I threw more warming up than I did on the mound."
Right.
And Robleski threw an inning and 2/3, but Dreyer, do you know how many pitches Dreyer threw? 5. So Dreyer and Bonda combined for 8 pitches.
Wow.
And then so when you're looking in and of course Kershaw came out. Kershaw threw 8 pitches. And now he got out of that inning, and it was a heroic job. But it was like, okay, then they brought in Enriquez the very next inning, and you know, we're talking about, do we bring Yamamoto in? Do we bring a position player in? We're gonna have to. There has to be a change in philosophy in pitchers, because this whole, okay, good job, you gave us almost 5 innings. When you have a marathon like this, I mean, I'm gonna guess Klein is done for the World Series.
He's
And
got
I'm
to
gonna
be.
and I'm gonna guess that Lauer is done for at least the next few games. And Sheehan's not available tomorrow, and probably Sasaki. I mean, who's available tomorrow?
Well, today, Sully, it's
Yeah,
today.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I can do Wordle right now. But that's that's something to be concerned about. I mean, like, if you're the Dodgers, I mean, what relievers do you have? And if and the same thing with Toronto. Early on, Fluharty threw how many pitches? I'm got him up here.
14.
14 pitches. Okay, fine. Um, they stretched their relievers out a little bit better.
Well,
Right.
Bassett through 8.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Bassett, who's a starter.
Who's a starter by trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Hoffman, is he going to be available tomorrow? He pitched 2 innings. Fisher threw an inning and 2/3. I mean, little bless him, he let up a home run to Freeman. There's no real shame in that. Dominguez let a home run to Otani. It was it took a home run, because it was going to get we get past the defense. But we're going to have to do something in baseball about this, because being able to tough out and grind it out to at least the 6th inning, and maybe say, hey, that reliever got a key out with 2 outs. Maybe have him finish the inning.
Yeah.
Push to get the. I jokingly said that if there's 2 outs and nobody on, and a manager makes a pitching change with 2 outs and nobody on, I've jokingly said that team loses their first round draft pick. I mean, just we have to penalize that if we're talking about pace of play. But I'm only half joking now. It's like, we have to. The team that figures this out, how to get innings eaters, how to get their starter. All right, you don't have your best stuff, but you got to give us 6 more outs somehow. Instead of, well, with it, after this 2 times through the order, the OPS jumps up and this, that, and the other thing. Fine, but what if we have a marathon like this?
Right. I think with the Dodgers in particular, I mean, Glasnow 85 pitches. I can understand why they took him out, especially like you said, the base runners. But the way they deployed the bullpen, they really put themselves in that situation where Dave Roberts says, "Hey, Klein, you have to go 3-4 innings. We have no other choice
Right.
because Kershaw, look, he's a Hall of Famer, legend in the game, but why is he only getting 1 out and not coming back out at that point in the game?"
Yeah.
That didn't make a lot of sense to me. I was honestly surprised by it. And honestly, with the Blue Jays too, like I said, Bassett tomorrow.
That's the most. Yeah, that's the most. That's the most stunning one. That Bassett
8
only went for 1
pitches.
inning. Yeah.
I don't know where they go. Like, I'm really curious. After we take a quick nap, wake up, and the sun's up, we're gonna have to start reading some articles and figuring out what's the plan for game 4. Because I
Right.
really can't tell you right now. I don't know how you complete 9 innings without guys without Blake Snell having to go 7 or 8 innings, and we both know Blake Snell typically isn't that type of pitcher to pitch deep in the games. He's going to have to,
Yeah,
right?
don't tell Kevin Cash that. But we got word though. This is actually I just got word of this, and this is like I don't even know what to say about this. I just reading this. The Dodgers are starting a position player tomorrow on the mound.
You're joking.
It's Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, okay. I- that's a good one. That's
Thank you,
good.
thank you.
That-
Do you know what? Let's go to an ad. All right, we're doing a Locked On MLB Locked On Marlins crossover. Um, just because Jeremiah's up, then I didn't want to do this alone. So, welcome to the show, Marlin fans.
yeah, I know you
um,
guys were watching the game.
yeah, absolutely. Oh man, I should have come up with a Marlins trivia question, but it's late. I don't even know what day it is. Hey, you were asking about like where this ranks. And again, I think where this game ranks is an all-time great World Series game. And I do think we always need a little bit of distance. We need a little bit of distance. We also need a conclusion to the World Series to see how this fits into the narrative. Right now it feels like a top in terms of a top 5 of games that I've personally watched. Um, the one thing that goes against it a little bit is it's a game 3 and not a game 6 or 7. That's one of the things that made that game between Detroit and Seattle so great a couple weeks ago. It was a deciding game. It was both teams were trying to get on. That's what made the final game in 1991 between the Twins and the Braves and the Marlins beating the Cleveland. Hey, look, I got brought it to the Marlins. The fact
There we go.
that was a do or die game for both teams, and the same thing with the with Arizona and New York in 2001. The Aaron Boone game was for the pennant. Games like that are just there was no one on the verge of elimination, but this might be the best game 3 I've ever seen. Let's just
Yeah,
get
for sure.
this is, by the way, the second 18 inning game 3 that the Dodgers have had in the last 10 years.
In the World Series.
In the World Series, yeah.
Max
That's
Muncy,
the
2018.
Muncy. Yep. I'll tell you something that's going to make this game really age well. Who was the starter for Toronto? Do you remember? It was a couple of years ago that this game started. But who was the starter? Do you remember who it was?
In what
In
game?
tonight's game.
Oh,
It was
Scherzer.
Scherzer. You mentioned Kershaw pitched. Vlad Guerrero had a terrific game. Freddie Freeman was the big hero, except Shohei Ohtani was the dominant force of this. Mookie Betts didn't have a great game, but it's so long he still got on base twice. There are there are people that we know are going to the Hall of Fame. Ohtani is going to go to the Hall of Fame. Probably Freddie Freeman is going to the Hall of Fame. Probably Mookie Betts is going to the Hall of Fame. We know Clayton Kershaw is going to the Hall of Fame. We know Max Scherzer is going to the Hall of Fame. Vladdy Guerrero is on the path. He's putting up the numbers. He's now getting the postseason accolades. When you look back at some of the great series, one of the things that really helps a series age well is not just the results on the field, but the great players who were on the field when they were doing it. And so, when we start to talk about Ohtani's legacy, the fact that in this game he got on base 9 times, and most of the time he had 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and most of the time they were walking him intentionally at home in extra innings because they said, we'd rather have you on first than throw you a pitch. I mean, that's next level respect with Mookie Betts batting behind him. And so I think that's one of the things that's going to make this game, I think, age well.
It's next level greatness. And I've had 15 minutes or so to collect some thoughts about this game. And from the Dodgers perspective, because they did end up winning the game, I thought, look, there's 2 players that stand out to me. I mean, there were a ton of players that pitched for the Dodgers. There were a lot of position players. You had pinch hitters, pinch runners, but it's Shohei Ohtani being on base 9 times. And the Blue Jays essentially saying, look, you are too great to let you beat us.
Mhm.
We'll lose to Mookie Betts. And
Right.
Mookie Betts is probably going to the Hall of Fame. We would rather lose to Freddie Freeman, but we're not going to let you, Shohei, dictate this baseball game because he proved to be unstoppable. The definition of unstoppable. He didn't get out tonight solely. And
Yeah.
then you have the flip side. So you have Shohei Ohtani, who's probably the most famous baseball player walking right now. Certainly the greatest baseball player that I've seen
In,
play.
intentionally walking too.
Intentionally walking him nonetheless. And then the other hero. Okay, so you have Shohei doing his thing, but the true hero, the guy that kept the Dodgers in this game to the very end so that they could pull out that win with that mighty lineup, is a pitcher, Will Klein, who, guess how many innings he's pitched in his major league career, Sully?
I
Five.
don't know.
5.
And he
He
pitched
pitched
four today.
5 innings, and he pitched 4 innings in the World Series with the game on the line, knowing that he couldn't give up a run. Because if he gives up a run in, let's say, the 16th or 17th, they lose that game. And now the whole narrative of this World Series has flipped. And now it's the Blue Jays who are up 2-1. So I just look at it as, I mean, how can you not be romantic about baseball? You have the
Yeah.
greatest player alive in Shohei Ohtani going 4 for 4, 2 homers, 2 doubles, 5 intentional walks. And then Will Klein, who's pitched 5 innings in his career, going 4 innings, blowing by his career high in pitch count. Baseball's a beautiful sport.
It really is. And I love the fact that Bauer and Klein, who just pitched their guts out, um, they woke up this morning not knowing that they were going to have their greatest games they ever played today.
Yeah.
And what I think what I mentioned, that was it. Freddie Freeman got on base. How many times did he get on base? 4 times today. 4 times with a walk-off home run, and he's maybe the third player of the game. I
Right.
mean, Otani is the player of the game, absolutely. Klein has to be the pitcher of the game and be the great hero. And Edmund made as I said, made the bonehead error, but made a couple of great defensive plays later. And I mean, Teoscar Hernandez got 4 hits, and then he's an afterthought.
Right. I wouldn't even have brought him up, and he had a 4-hit day.
He had a 4-hit day in a World Series game. What do you think's going to happen tomorrow?
I mean, tomorrow, like, I'm just excited to see how these teams handle the emotional letdown, the emotional thrill, like however you want to look at it. This takes so much out of you as a player. I mean, number
Mhm.
one, physically, Will Smith caught all 18 innings. That's another thing that needs to be looked at. Like his knees, he's exhausted. These players are exhausted, and they're coming off this emotional high with the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, a tough fought loss. But now they know we have to win game 4. Otherwise, we're going to be down 3-1. And
Right.
Sully, once you're down 3-1, it's going to be really hard to come back.
And do you want sometimes a team improves against the narrative that everyone says, or a manager or someone improves against the narrative. I remember when Dusty Baker finally won his World Series title, and the big knock against him was he was always terrible at handling his pitching staff. Well, he handled an Astros pitching staff to have a combined no hitter in the World Series. I mean, you have to. He played the cards right. No one can ever say, "Oh, he didn't handle a pitching staff right." Well, really, he won a World Series title that included having a combined no hitter, and he was able to silence those critics. And I've been crowing this whole time that the feat of clay of the Dodgers is get into their bullpen, and you'll find a way to win. And with the exception of Trinan, who should be DFA'd, Bonda, Robolewski, Dreyer, Sasaki, Sheehan, Kershaw, Enriquez, and Klein all came starting in the 5th inning, shut out a mighty Toronto Blue Jays lineup. And for all the crap that the Dodgers bullpen has been getting, including by me, you've got to tip your hat that they showed up big time and shut up a lot of people like me. Now, the question is, can they do it again?
Yeah. Can they? Well, I mean, who's who's got to step up? I mean, these guys you mentioned, Robleski pitched an inning and 2/3. Sheehan's
Bonda,
done
yeah, yeah,
2 2/3. I mean, they weren't just going, no, with a couple exceptions here and there like
yeah,
Kershaw or Bonda, but they were going, you know, over an inning,
yeah.
working deep into at bats. And I mean, credit to the Dodgers bullpen because I was right there with you. I said the strength of this Blue Jays team is the lineup. The strength of the Dodgers is their rotation. And of
Mhm.
course, their lineup. They have Otani.
Right.
So when you finally got to their pen, and if you're the Blue Jays, it hurts because you didn't capitalize. And you literally had every single Dodger reliever, every
Mhm.
single one on the roster you had a crack at, and you couldn't get it done.
By the way, I have to address this. Everyone in their moose seemed to think this was a mismatch World Series going to it, except me. I thought this was actually a pretty evenly matched World Series, and today's game showed it was pretty easily evenly matched. And there were people saying like, "Oh, this is going to be this is bad for baseball. The Dodgers are going to clobber them." And of course, the first game was a blowout for the Blue Jays. And then when the Dodgers won Game Two on the Yamamoto complete game, I put out a little tongue-in-cheek title for the game for the episode, which was "Dodgers Avoid Sweep." And I a lot of people didn't get that I was making a little bit of a joke, and I got lots of comments like Johnny Kim 3122 avoid a sweep. What kind of stupid tagline is that? And people saying things like, I didn't know you could get swept after 2 games. This is clickbait. I was making a joke, folks. I was making a joke. But yeah, there
Comedy
we
is a
go.
lost art.
I don't know if it was comedy. It was just me being a bit of a smartass. But hey, for those of you listening to this show, I want to thank you for making Locked On MLB or Locked On Marlins your first listen every day. For your second listen, listen to the other one, MLB or Marlins. For your third listen, check out the all night Locked On. This really all night Locked On MLB game night, every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. I'm bet it's going to be the Dodgers or the Blue Jays. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB game night at Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Jeremiah, where can people listen to your great show?
Yeah, Locked On Marlins on YouTube channel, or wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple. Subscribe, share the podcast with your friends, and daily Marlins coverage.
And let me do the trivia question. I forgot to type it up in here, so forgive me, but here's a trivia question. Who is the first player in World Series history to hit a home run for 3 different franchises in the World Series? Who was the first person played for in his career? He played for 3 teams. They went to the World Series, played in the World Series with 3 different teams, and homered in for all 3 franchises. First one to do that. That's the trivia question. Put it down there. All right, Jeremiah, I need to go to bed. I got to teach students in the morning. Talking about a real classic. When they say, let's play two, we almost played two. Talking with Jeremiah Geiger of Locked On Marlins. This has been a Locked On MLB, Locked On Marlins crossover. Thanks for doing some of the lifting with me, Jeremiah. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please, I'm begging you, let me get some sleep, and you can call me Sully.